Beetje goede jaarwisseling gehad. Veel vuurwerk, oliebollen. Jij ook de beste wensen. Ik vroeg nog een keer of dat hij een goede jaarwisseling had gehad, maar daar reageert hij niet op. Misschien nog een beetje te vol van de oliebollen. Al die dagen ook al zat hoor, al dat eten constant. Dat is helemaal bij. Dan ook geen appelbeignets. Dit is Horace. Het is een indie spel. Volgens mij een paar jaar oud of zo. Ik denk, ik weet het even niet zeker, maar het is wel een erg leuk spel is het. Ik had het al eens een keer gespeeld, maar het verhaal is erg goed.
And so, I was born. The first people I remember seeing were the old man, the old lady, and their daughter, Heather. After they'd said hello, the old man powered me down so he could install some software.
Het is wel jammer, want ik heb de subtitels niet aangezet.
I could tell they were nice people. The old man didn't give me a silly voice or stupid personality. And the old lady didn't dress me like a clown. Although for some reason, Heather really didn't like me. Once I'd had time to get used to walking, the old man asked me to dash from one end of the room to the other.
Toch wel beter zijn.
Next, the old man spent a couple of hours building some wooden platforms. He said he wanted me to jump up them, but I must admit, I was scared. It wasn't until I saw Heather and her mother happily climbing up them that I decided it might be okay.
Maar paard, als je niet gespoild wil worden, het is ik vind het een erg fijne platformer dit. Het is een leuk spel. Er zit echt een heel goed verhaal bij. Ik had het denk ik iets van een jaar of 2, 3 geleden eens een keer gespeeld. Maar ik dacht van nou, nieuw jaar, nieuwe kansen. Ik ga het eens een keer proberen. Ja, nu lijkt het nog niks natuurlijk, maar komt nog wel. Wordt nog moeilijker.
The old man then rearranged the platforms. He told me to try to reach the other end of the room without touching the floor. Heather said the floor's made of lava. But when I smiled at her, she just frowned and looked away. The old lady arranged some pillows and blankets. She said it was in case I fell, but I think she just wanted it to look more like lava. When I reached the other side, the old man just smiled and
Eigenlijk
said,
wel.
"That'll do."
Ja, het is gewoon een heel leuk spel. Het verhaal is gewoon zo goed. Volgens mij kan je het spel tussen de 8 en 9 uur uitspelen. En ik denk dat ik het in 2 avondjes heb uitgespeeld. Het is erg leuk. Ja, het is alleen wel 1 stuk, een ritmespelstuk, waar ik niet zo goed doorheen kwam. Maar het verhaal is gewoon echt heel leuk. Dus ik zou hem zeker op je wishlist zetten. Ik denk dat hij voor de Switch is hij regelmatig een paar euro geweest. Voor Steam weet ik niet. Ik dacht dat hij nu iets van 70 tot 80% korting was of zo. Maar ja, 10 euro voor een platformer. Leuk
and
geld.
always seemed to just kind of stare at
Goede
me.
waarde voor dit spel.
He had lived with the old man for 5 years. The house was
Dat
so
is mooi,
huge
dat
they
voor mij
barely
niet.
saw each
Ik denk
other.
dat ik daar 3
He
uur vast heb
preferred
gezeten.
instead to stay in his room, leaving everything up to his butler, Mr. Deck, as he insisted everyone call him, although the professor always called him Anton. For a while, he called me the yellow bastard, but the old man made him stop, as he thought it sounded racist. Mr. Sidman's driver. Before he worked here, he'd gotten in with some bad people and was the driver in a post office robbery, although it all went wrong for some reason. Mr. Silton showed me a video of his band. I'm sure some people must like it, but I just found it terrifying. Then there was Alice. She was the cook. She was a
Helemaal
nice
goed.
old lady.
Veel plezier daar.
When
Veel
she was
thee
younger,
drinken.
she had been a TV chef. Then, years later, she had a small part in Coronation Street. Mr. Silton said, before she worked for the old man, Alice was quite a hoarder.
En raad het spel
She
daar ook
kept
even
old
aan. Het is
newspapers
echt
and
een,
bicycles,
het is een echt goed
and
verhaal wat
something
erin
about a
zit.
poo in a shoebox. The next morning, the old man gathered everyone together to show them what I was capable of. What else does he do? Asked Mr. Silton. The old man smiled. He can help around the house. Could he help me with my newspaper collecting? Asked Alice. I'm not sure that's a good idea, said the old lady, but he can do all sorts of jobs. Yeah, said Mr. Silton, shove a stick up his ass and he can do Deck's job. Now, said the old man, we have company, pointing to some important-looking people. 2 large men, both called Gary, set up what the old man referred to as lasers. He said again, I should try to get from one end of the room to the other, but I shouldn't be worried, as I had a special chip which meant no matter how damaged I was, I couldn't die. He said it was like infinite lives in a video game. But when he realized I didn't understand, he said he would explain another time. Everybody clapped, except the important-looking men. Not exactly a cold, calculated killer, is it? Said the man in black. The man in grey laughed. What kind of artificial intelligence was that? He asked. Move right, unless there's something in the way. Okay, said the old man. He turned to me and whispered, they're going to make it quite a bit tougher. But I'm sure you'll be fine. The Garys then rearranged the room one last time. The old man smiled. Now, there's no need to look so glum, he said. I'm still happy with everything you've done today. So this time, I was determined to do him proud. The old man's friends actually seemed quite happy when I made it through.
Ja, zou je
We
wel
might have a
verwachten.
winner
Maar ik
after
vind het
all,
meer een beetje
said
op
the man in
Sonic
black.
lijken, dus
It's no Killbot
al dat
3000, but you can almost see the fire in its eyes. A couple of days later, the old lady said she had a surprise for me. My own room. She also wanted to play me some music. I wasn't sure after what Mr. Silton had shown me.
Dan heb je nog goede voornemens, Ger?
As if music wasn't amazing enough, the old lady then bought me a television set. I couldn't believe what I saw. I watched everything I could. Comedy, drama, horror, sci-fi. Anything anyone wanted to watch I would happily watch with them.
Dat is een erg goed
Then
voornemen.
one day,
Vooral aan de
the
hand
old
dan.
man set up a small box. He plugged some cables into the television and said, "This is what I meant
Je
when
moest
I
toch
said
recent
video games."
affiliate worden.
I played games at every chance I could. I took on everyone. I was unstoppable. I had enjoyed music, film, and television. But to me, video games
Ja,
really
mijn goede
were the
voornemen is
highest
een beetje
art
dit
form.
kanaal te laten lopen. Ja, dat zijn nou de perks als je dan nu affiliate bent. En ik dacht vroeger dat als je affiliate wilde worden, dat je iets van 50 volgers moest hebben. Ja, natuurlijk. Tegenwoordig 25. Nou, dan zit ik er al aan. had wel gezegd dat er heel veel verhaal in zat, maar dat is gelogen. Het is eigenlijk gewoon pom.
Heather's birthday was a couple of months later. Her mum and dad had bought her a camera and arranged a day out by the sea so that Heather could take some photos, although I really don't think she wanted any pictures of me. When the old man asked the professor if he wanted to go, he frowned and said, "I can't believe you want to spend time with that thing. It could destroy the world." I wasn't sure what he meant, but the old man just smiled and said, "That's what you said about the Game Boy." And on, "How about you?" "I don't think so," said Mr. Deck. "The last time I got in that car, Barry crashed us into a branch of Woolworths. I never would have gone into Woolworths of my own accord." The old man explained that the car was old and the brakes had failed, but Mr. Deck was having none of it. So Mr. Silton drove, and Alice came along for the fresh air. I enjoyed being
Ja,
outside.
dat komt waarschijnlijk omdat hij zo hard er doorheen zit te
The old
schreeuwen.
lady kept telling me to be careful of the rickety old walkways. It felt like she was telling me off, but I think she was just concerned.
Ook niet allemaal door elkaar proberen heen te praten. Het verhaal is belangrijk. Ah. Heb je een percentage hoeveel je in Silk Song bent?
As the old man and I stood on the cliff tops, I could see something in the distance. I wasn't sure what it was, so I asked the old man. He said it was a battleship that had sunk in the 1940s. But he looked so sad when he spoke about war.
Hypnotic.
I didn't see what happened, but the metal platform Heather was climbing on had collapsed. She was safe, even if the rocks she was on were very dangerous. The tide was rising, and we didn't know how long the Coast Guard was going to be, so I offered to climb down and get her. The old man agreed, but said I should be careful, as Heather doesn't have infinite lives, like I do.
Yes. Doodgaan. Nog een keer doodgaan. Oh. Nog een keer doodgaan.
Heather was unconscious, and her leg was broken, so I picked her up as gently as I could.
Ja,
I decided it would be
keer
best if I didn't run the rest of the
die
way.
voorganger ervoor uitspelen. Weet je niet nou? Hollow Knight. Met alle DLC. Toen was er ooit wel eens aan begonnen, maar toen nog weer eens een keer wat anders tussendoor uit. Dus toen is ben ik gelijk compleet afgeleid. Heb jij al Hollow Knight helemaal uitgespeeld?
an ambulance had arrived by the time I had made it back to the cliff top. The medics made sure Heather was okay.
En Silk
and
stond er
then
een
took her
hele
off their
verbetering
hospital.
op Hollow Knight.
A
Zeg je
few
van,
days later, we all went to
Silk
see
stond is
how
net
she
even
was
wat
doing.
beter.
She was fine, but would have to wear the cast for a couple of
Dan heb
months.
je niet erg uitgespeeld, hè? Als de DLC niet gedaan is, heb je niet echt uitgespeeld. Ik heb Borderlands 1 ook gedaan. Game of the Year Edition gekocht. Alle DLC erop. Ik denk dat ik er iets van 200 uur in heb zitten of zo. En ja. Ik heb die zomer DLC nooit uitgespeeld. Dus dat heb ik eigenlijk ook niet echt uitgespeeld dan.
Once Heather got to know me,
Oké.
we became good friends. We enjoyed the
Maar
same
met
films
Mia
and
Rumbeck,
TV.
hoe bedoel je?
She was also
Backtracking.
annoyingly good
Als je
at
het één
some of my
gevonden hebt, dat je
favorite
dan ergens
games.
anders weer verder kan.
After a while, she became very interested in how I worked. Soon she knew as much about me as the old man did, if not more. We spent the next couple of months visiting other countries, as when it came to teaching me things, the old man always liked to pick interesting locations. He had explained the basics of mathematics to me at the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Taught me history in the dead of night, surrounded by mysterious giant stones. And even showed me science in action high up in a hot air balloon.
En op mijn
This
gevoel
is
was dat
why
bij
I
Hollow
was
Knight ook altijd
surprised when the
zo.
old man took me to a restaurant. It was
Ja, dat is
nice,
altijd wel
but it
belangrijk.
seemed very somber compared to the previous grand locations. He said he just wanted to chat, and this was nice, and plus it was his favorite place to eat. We talked about life, the universe, Douglas Adams, everything really. When I asked him why were we here, why did we exist, he just smiled and said, life is like a game, just don't expect to be finished anytime soon. When I looked puzzled, he said, well, everyone should have a purpose. So I asked him, what's my purpose? He
Ik ben
thought
zelf
for
van
a
plan
bit,
als deze klaar
then
is dat
said,
ik dan
so you want to be a
Chronicles of
real
the
boy,
Wolf ga doen.
which just
Dat is
confused
ook
me
best wel een
even
leuk
more.
spel. Dat is meer een,
Eventually the old
eigenlijk
man
meer een
said, for
Metroidvania.
now, I want you to
Natuurlijk is
help
dat
clean
Silksong
things
en Hollow
around the
Knight het ook
house.
redelijk wel.
I must have
Maar
looked
het heeft
unimpressed.
niet die moeilijkheid van als
As
je
he then
doodgaat, dan
said,
mag je al je
okay, I
zielen
want you to
verzamelen
clean
weer. Waar je dood was
1 million
gegaan.
things. It didn't sound like the meaning of life. But I suppose you've got to start somewhere.
Heb je daar zelf wel eens van gehoord? Chronicles of the Wolf? Dan ben je heel erg
The
geïnteresseerd
next
in
day,
Metroidvania.
the old man said he wanted to install some more
Het is best wel een
software,
goed spel.
so he powered me down. When I came to, he said Mr. Silton had a joke for me, and that I should pull his finger. I don't think I got the joke. So the old man powered me down again. This time when I pulled Mr. Silton's finger, I got the joke. But it wasn't very funny. The old man then explained that he had installed a special chip which allowed me to clean away anything that was broken. He said it also tells me how many things are nearby, and how many smaller things are in a bigger thing. It all sounded very
Ziet er goed
complicated,
uit. Wordt
but he
erg
said all I
vergeleken
really
met
had to do was pause, and
Castlevania,
it would bring up all the
Symphony of the
information I
Night.
needed. He then said he wanted me to find and clean all of the items in the room. He told me there would be some chains to climb, but that would be nice and easy, as I just had to press up. He then finished by saying, when I had collected all the items,
Kijk,
I
ik heb
should
gelijk een bug
back
gevonden
here.
in mijn chat widget. Wat moet ik hier nou doen? Waardeloos. Ik ben geen goede streamer in ieder geval. Ik zit de een en de andere weg te jagen. De ene moet niet kijken omdat hij het spel gewoon zelf maar eens een keer moet spelen. En de andere die jaag ik weg door links een ander spel te sturen. Maakt het uit. Kijk, als ik hier rotzooi was. Ja, daarom ook. En nog een, ja, die heb ik gespeeld. Die was zo goed. Het eerste deel vond ik ook fantastisch. Ik heb de deel 2 toen ik hem binnen had. Ja, nee, ik heb ze allebei gespeeld. Helemaal 100%. Die spellen waren zo goed.
The old man then asked the
Ja,
old lady
helemaal
Heather,
100%
and I followed
uitgespeeld.
him
Ik vond ze
outside.
echt
I
net te
was
goed.
happy too, because it was a
Dat
lovely
was
hot day.
het vervolg en de Magnolia's was een van de weinige spellen dat ik dacht van waar ik echt naar uitkeek toen dat jaar.
The old man said he was worried that
Dus een
Alice
keer
had
meer
been
deel 1
hoarding
dan
again.
deel.
She had filled up a small
nee,
barn with old
ja,
bicycle
in die
newspapers.
Ik
Heather
weet niet wat je
said
allemaal moet
this
doen
would
in dat
be a
spel om
perfect
100%
chance
te
to
halen. Het
properly
is alweer een
test my
tijdje
new
geleden volgens mij.
powers.
Ik denk dat ik het
The
vorig
old
jaar in
man
maart
thought for a second,
of mei
then
of zoiets
said,
heb
using
uitgespeeld.
the steptoe chip, I should find and clean at least 300
Ja, ik denk dat ik
things.
zelf nog wel eens een keer weer
When
dit
we
jaar en de
explained
Lilies
to
nog een
Alice
keer
what we
probeert.
wanted to do, she seemed
Maar ik
scared.
ben dan altijd een beetje
But
bang dat
after
hij
the
dan
old
zo
lady
tegenvalt.
and he
Helemaal als je dan een
explained
vervolg hebt
well,
gespeeld.
the barn was starting to smell. She said it would be okay. One last thing, said the old man.
Ja, dat
If you
heb ik
want
ook.
to use a door, just push up. When I was about to enter the old barn, Mr. Silton said he had seen some mushrooms growing inside. He asked me to give him any that I found. He then winked, but I wasn't sure why.
Dat vind ik lekker. Dat vind ik ook lekker. Daar moet ik dus niet naartoe. Ja, qua gebruik van die vijanden zat er natuurlijk nog wel redelijk wat verschil in. Nou, dan zou ik het even deze keer opnieuw moeten spelen. Dat waren wel echt goede spellen. De muziek was goed, de sfeer was goed. Ik vond ze zeggen dat het een hele moeilijke Metroidvania is, maar dat vind ik eigenlijk helemaal niet. Ik vind het gewoon goed te doen. Nee, daarom. Het spel moet het wel echt straks van het verhaal hebben, geloof me. Want als je zit te kijken, dan nou het enige wat ik zie is dat je rotzooi aan het verzamelen bent. Oh. Oh. een Volkswagen meenemen. Kevertje. Ja, nee, klopt. Het is veel makkelijker. Ik zou eens een keer al een uitdoken moeten starten. Nou, ik moet zelf wel starten dit jaar. Ik heb wel besloten om veel minder uren in spellen te steken, zoals Smash Brothers. Want ik heb er altijd zo'n rot gevoel van als ik dat dan maar weer een paar uur heb gespeeld. Denk ik van ja, ik heb wat uit de kast kunnen pakken.
The old man was very happy with everything that I had cleaned. But I think Mr. Silton was even more happy with his mushrooms.
Volgens mij wel. Ik moet het heel even kijken. Als ik de voorkant zie, dan herinner ik me wel. Ja, dat heb ik ook uitgespeeld. Dat heb ik alleen niet 100% gedaan. Volgens mij moesten er nog wat dingen verzameld worden, maar ja, dat was leuk. Ik heb ik had hem niet 100% gedaan, volgens mij moet ik iets heel vervelends doen of zo om dan de laatste dingen te verzamelen. Ik vond het wel goed. Ik liep toen te vaak rondjes nog. Dat was ook een leuk spel in ieder geval.
But it didn't make me feel any better. The old lady obviously had enough of my moping and said, right, next week we're going to have a party. For some reason she insisted that we were all going to wear costumes. Heather was very excited and said, I've got some perfect ideas.
Ja, inderdaad. Het was heel veel reizen.
It was terrifying. Everyone was dressed like someone else. I think I was meant to be some kind of pumpkin, as everyone kept shouting, it's the great pumpkin.
Dat is op zich nog wel Ori en de Wil en dit moet ik ook nog
Mr. Silton
spelen.
was having fun telling everyone his joke.
Zie je er een lijst staan waar ook dit zelfs tussen zit. Maar,
After
ik heb
what
dat
seemed
gespeeld,
like
maar dat vond ik nou
forever,
niet echt een hele goede
everybody
Super
left, and
Metroidvania.
things got back to normal. Heather was allowed to watch a scary film before she went to bed, but I had to help Alice and Mr. Deck clean up. I wasn't happy about this, but the old man said if I was quick, then I could watch the end of the film with them. Alice was vacuuming, and Mr. Deck was taking down the decorations. So I thought I should clean up the plates and glasses. The ear-splitting sound was the fire alarm. As usual, Mr. Deck blamed Mr. Silton, saying he was probably smoking one of his jazz cigarettes.
Ik heb het geprobeerd, maar
But then the professor appeared.
vond
He
het niet
said
heel
there was
super.
something burning in the kitchen. Alice looked
Het is
confused,
zo'n
saying
roguelike,
that she
dus
hadn't
dan
cooked
word je
anything
er steeds
since the
beter in
morning.
als je elke keer doodgaat.
We
Maar
were all surprised when
Ja, dat had
Mr.
ik niet
Deck
zoveel zin
opened
in.
the oven. Inside was a large black cloak and a slightly burnt pair of men's underwear. Suddenly the old lady burst in. She looked terrified. She kept shouting, "There's someone on the roof." When we went outside, it slowly became obvious that it was Mr. Silton. He was completely naked and playing his guitar. He shouted down, "When I finish this song, I'm going to fly." The old lady
Zou je
said,
ook nog
"Oh
spelen?
my god, I know this one.
Wat viel er
There's
dan
only
meer aan
about 30 seconds
PT
left."
en dan aan de
The
een?
old
Want
man then
één heb ik
quickly
echt heel
turned to
veel
me and
plezier
said,
aan
"You
gehad.
know what to do." By the time I had made it up to the roof, Mr. Silton was beside the edge. I tried to calm him
Ja,
down,
dat is vervelend.
but he was acting unusual.
Ja, ik zou het ook moeten proberen. Maar ik moet nog zoveel proberen dit jaar.
After an hour or so, Mr. Silton was fine. He said he had eaten some bad magic mushrooms. Part of me wondered why he hadn't doubled in size. Still, he was soon laughing and joking with the paramedics. One of them said he looked like the world's worst clown. I don't think Mr. Silton liked that. So he told his own joke. But that just made the other paramedic call him Marshmallow Marso. I don't think he liked that either. But at least he was still in one piece.
Ik kan me weinig herinneren van het verhaal, maar van een heel stuk dat ze ook ergens op de maan of iets dergelijks
A
belanden.
month or so later, Heather and I were playing video games, when the old man said he wanted me to come outside. He said it had been a year since I had arrived, so he had a present for me. He placed the teddy bear high up on a wooden platform. He then told me I should try to pick it up. Try as I might, I couldn't reach the teddy bear. However, I still don't understand what happened
vind je?
next.
Ik weet niet hoor. Paddenstoelen eten en op een dak staan met een gitaar in je handen. Oh, je bedoelt Blasphemous. Blasphemous 2, ja. Nee, ja, het heeft natuurlijk zijn ondertoon wel. Ja, nee, klopt. Ik zat even naar dit spel te kijken. Daar heb ik nog niks van geloof gezien, volgens mij. En dat er nu eentje doodgaat. Tranen, tranen. En hoeveel uur heb je al in Silton zitten nu? Want je gaat er nu nog een stukje mee verder. Vanmiddag althans. Volgens mij hadden ze ook weer extra content aangekondigd. Gratis toch, of niet? Nou, hopelijk pakken ze dat een beetje beter op, want de Yacht Club, de ontwikkelaars van Shovel Knight, die zijn een beetje in problemen gekomen. Omdat ze Ze waren nu bezig om een ander spel te ontwikkelen. Ik weet even niet hoe het heet, maar het is een soort van Zelda-spel met een muis erin. Van bovenaf. Dat was op zich wel erg leuk. Er was een demo van uitgekomen. Maar schijnbaar hebben ze nu financiële problemen. En ik denk dat dat voornamelijk komt omdat ze dan... Dat Shovel Knight hebben ze ook echt zoveel DLC voor gemaakt. Maar dat was telkens gratis. Maar ze verhoogden dan de prijs van het spel zelf. Ja, het probleem dan is, dan heb je een veel duurder spel. Ja, degene die het spel hadden gekocht, die kregen al die content er gratis bij. Ik moet van mijn controller afblijven. Dat is macabere muziek. Waarschijnlijk hebben ze al de muziek gebruikt omdat het allemaal rechtenvrij was. Je kan ook een soundtrack vullen natuurlijk. Allemaal rechtenvrij muziek gebruiken.
Was I dead? Was this heaven? It sort of looked like the basement bathroom. It was the shoes the old man was going to give me. I thought I might as well put them on. They were just the right size. The old man's hat fit me pretty good as well. I'm sure he wouldn't mind if I wore it. Amazingly, the shoes allowed me to defy gravity. Or maybe it was the hat.
Dat was Sonic niet. Helemaal niet desoriënterend of iets dergelijks.
Part of the basement was flooded, and the stairs had collapsed. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew I wanted to get back upstairs. How long had I been asleep? Months? Years? I was so confused. Where had everybody gone? I was slightly scared. This was the first time I had been outside on my own.
Ja, ik was het alweer compleet van het spel vergeten dat je schoenen kreeg om over het plafond te lopen. Dus het is toch niet zo kwaad om het nog eens een keer opnieuw te spelen.
I knew what I had to do. This had to be my purpose. I would clean a million things, so I could become a real boy. Whatever that meant.
Ja, het zal wel gebeuren als ik dat nou doe. Dan vliegt de ruimte in als ik er zo vanaf spring. Dat is als een blik wat op en neer ligt. Zo kom je er ook weer.
The gate was locked. I would need a key to open it.
Ja, ik dacht eerst dat het van buiten kwam, maar
The screaming was coming from one of the bedrooms, but the stairs were blocked by a wall of fire.
nee.
The people screaming turned out to be a man, a woman, and their children. They were confused and terrified. At first the man looked like he was ready to fight me,
Ik moet het echt niet doen. Hoeveel
but
moet ik er
after I
onderaf blijven?
convinced them that I was there to help, he calmed down. There was no way I could carry them all at once, so the children went first. I dropped the children off at the front door and promised them that I would be back with their parents.
Blijf hem buiten staan. Inhaleer al dat asbest.
The fire was getting much worse, so the woman went next. When we got to the front door, all the woman said was, "Thank you, please hurry."
We gaan haasten. Ze willen sneller lopen. Oh. Nu alleen.
By the time I managed to get back, the man was unconscious. I had to pick him up quickly, as I could tell the house was going to collapse at any moment.
Toch nog doen. Zo. Dat gelijk allemaal in elkaar dat gedaan. Dag huis. Ja, dit is het einde van het spel. Dus oh nee, toch niet. Het gaat maar door. Ik dacht al. Ben ik al 8 uur aan het streamen, maar dat was niet zo.
I helped the family set up a tent so they had somewhere to stay. The kids were excited as they got to camp outside, but I think they knew they had just lost their home. When I mentioned my quest to clean a million things, the man said I should look through the rubble of the house, as they had no use for it. So, when everyone was making dinner, I looked through the wreckage. There wasn't anything I could clean, but to my astonishment, I found a TV set and a games console. With a bit of fiddling, I was able to get them to work. So I sat playing games with the kids until their parents said
Het
it
hele
was
huis tot
bedtime.
stof vervaagd.
As we
Nou, blijft een
talked,
rover,
the man
een
opened a bottle of
CRT-TV
wine.
en een
I
Super
asked what
Nintendo.
had happened. Why
Zie je
was
maar weer hoe
everything so
stevig dat
ruined?
spel vroeger was.
The man looked at the woman, then the woman
zijn
sighed and
dit.
said there was a war. Yes, a war.
Sorry kinderen, jullie
said
hebben
the
helemaal
man.
niks, maar we wonen nu in
One
een
side of the
tent.
planet
Hoe gaaf
attacked
is
the
dat?
other, and before we knew, it was all over. Everything gone. Everything destroyed. Well, it's late, said the woman. We should really get some sleep. Help yourself to anything you need, and we'll see you tomorrow. In the morning, I asked the man if he knew what had caused the fire that had destroyed their house. The man smiled. Crap old house, bad wiring, constant electrical surges from the unreliable power plant. Take your pick. He said, if we had the money, we'd move to the mainland. But we can barely
dus op
feed
de telefoon
ourselves,
ook.
let alone buy a new house, so for now we're left here with the rest of the scum. But he did say I should head to the mainland, as there would be plenty there for me to clean, and a
De hele
better
dag met je
quality of
Snake in je
rubbish.
tent spelen.
The man said, before the war, my lovely wife used to be a fisherwoman, fishing person. I used to catch fish, interrupted the woman, and, seeing as you saved us all from the fiery end, maybe you would like to borrow my boat to get to the mainland.
Heel
I was a
subtiel
little
was het
scared,
ook.
but then they gave me some
idee wat
captain
het was.
software, and I was an old salty sea dog
Omdat het
within
was zo vreemd
minutes.
dat mijn kind zo ongelooflijk fanatiek met de kaarsjes bezig was op de taart. Nu de dood.
I took the fisherman's boat to the mainland. The fisherman was right. Everything was in pieces. Everything had been destroyed. I docked the boat in some ruins. They must have once been a town.
Ik denk niet dat er nog veel vis te verkopen valt. Nee, oh, wacht. Het is vreemd dat ik tegen de muur kon oplopen. Dat vind ik goed. Ik ben helemaal benieuwd waarin.
I was confronted by a lovable fat old dog. He almost looked pleased to see me. Suddenly, 3 men appeared holding large guns. Or at least 2 men and what looked to be a pregnant woman. Incredibly, it was Mr. Silton. I thought you'd been shut down, he said. I mean, it's been years. I'm not really sure what happened, I replied. I then told him about me cleaning a million things. He laughed and said, nothing changes.
Je prioriteiten maar leren, als de robot.
He then showed me into what was surprisingly a really nice house. Please excuse my husband, said the pregnant lady. I'm Edwina, but everyone calls me Eddie. I believe you know this idiot. And that's Preston. We've met, said the small man. It was me that delivered that thing, remember? All you used to deliver was weed, mumbled Mr. Silton as he put the dog dish on the floor. And I was there that night, when this twat was off his face on mushrooms. Thanks for letting me and the dog stay, by the way. Yeah, well, we like the dog, said Mrs. Silton. And I suppose I've got you to thank for us meeting. What were you giving Barry those dodgy magic mushrooms? She pulled out an old photograph. It was one that Heather had taken the night I had saved Mr. Silton. It reminded me of everyone else, so I asked what had happened to them. Mr. Silton said Alice had a small place in the countryside. The professor had holed up in one of the old man's factories. Mr. Deck was, believe it or not, now a presenter on the only state television channel. And Heather and her mother lived on a government compound where they both worked. I asked about the old man, surprised it hadn't mentioned him. He's dead, said Mr. Silton. Sorry, I thought you knew. Anyway, said Mr. Preston, I thought you said that robot thing found the mushrooms for you, in that hoarder's manky old barn. Mr. Silton looked embarrassed. Well, said Mrs. Silton, I guess we've got you to thank for getting us together then. Time for bed, I think, said Mr. Silton. Make yourself comfy, and we'll see you in the morning.
Also wel handig. Nou, drink smakelijk.
The next day, I thought it might be a good time to ask about the war. Judging by the look on everyone's faces, it wasn't. Well, the war, said Mr. Silton. Barry interrupted his wife. Can I see you for a minute? And dragged Mr. Silton out of the room, leaving me with Mr. Preston. All of a sudden, Mr. Silton appeared. How about a tune-up, he said. Mrs. Silton started to make some food, and Mr. Preston was playing with the dog, leaving me to chat with Mr. Silton. I said that I really wanted to see everyone else, but Mr. Silton said that it wouldn't be that easy. Traveling now, especially for a robot, is complicated. Go back to the house, you could even do some cleaning. Wait there and I'll work out a way to get you to each of them. I told him that I couldn't get into the main house because the hallway ceiling had collapsed. I have just the thing, said Mr. Silton, as he pulled some sort of card out of his pocket. If you can get into the caves under the church next door to the house, you can use this security pass to get into the old man's laboratories. You can get into the main house that way. I was so excited, I would be able to get back into my old room. I said thanks, and made my way to the front door. Also, I think you might be able to help us out, said Mr. Silton, but we'll meet up back at the old man's house in a couple of days. You head there and we'll see you soon. I wasn't sure what to do with this machine. The huge door was sealed shut. I wasn't sure how to get inside. The huge door was sealed shut. I wasn't sure how to get inside. I wasn't sure what to do with this machine. I took the fisherman's boat to the old man's estate. The gate was locked. I would need a key to open it. The gate was locked. I would need a key to open it. I was surprised to see an old man, but not as surprised as he was. It turned out he was blind. He was kneeling on the floor with his hand in a drain. When I asked him what he was doing, he said his cat had crawled into the pipes, and he was trying to get her out. He was very happy when I offered to help. He said there was no way we could reach her from here, so if I was willing, I could make my way through the sewers and get her from the other end. He said he would turn off the water for as long as possible, but I would have to run, as the pipes would soon fill up again. I happily agreed. So he gave me a key. He said this will open all the sewer gates. Go through here, then down the ladder, and through the big door at the bottom. I better run. I found the old man's cat. She was fine, if a little confused. I was horrified. It looked like me, but it shambled around like something from the film we watched on Halloween. The man was happy to have his cat back. He looked so content with her sat on his lap. I told him about the thing I saw, but he just laughed and said, "Those bastard robots, they're always getting up through the pipes. Don't worry though, it'll never get through the big doors. If I had my way, we'd have blown up the lot of them when we had the chance." I wasn't sure what he meant, but I decided now wouldn't be the best time to tell him I was a robot. The man laughed and said, "Don't worry, I know who you are," and told me that he knew the old man. As we chatted, the man brewed himself some tea. He said that he had worked for the old man. In fact, he had lost his sight in one of the old man's factories. Strangely, he smiled at this thought. "He always did me right," he said. "When I had my accident, the old man said he would look after me. And he did. He always made sure I had enough money, and he let me move into this old pumping station on his land. Which reminds me, I have something here for you." He rummaged around behind a cupboard. Then he continued saying, "The old man wanted you to have this when you were old enough, but fate wouldn't allow it." He passed me a large box. It was empty. I thought about pretending to be excited, but the man said, "Wait a minute, It's empty, isn't it? He slumped back in his chair. I was robbed a few months ago, he said, almost in a whisper. It's strange, they took practically anything metal but left loads of food and a brand new saxophone. The man looked sad, so I thought I would try to change the subject. I told him about my quest to clean a million things. This at least made him smile. He said I was welcome to go back through the pipes anytime I wanted, as there were loads of old things in there that could be cleaned away. had to be careful. The electricity was going haywire in some places. I took the fisherman's boat to the mainland. The huge door was sealed shut. I wasn't sure how to get inside. The door was locked, but from behind it Mr. Silton shouted, "Go back to the old man's house." I took the fisherman's boat to the old man's estate. As I walked through the old church ruins, I was surprised to hear Mr. Silton calling me. He said he had forgotten to give me something, and the church's community hall would be the perfect place to try it out. As soon as we walked into the hall, Mr. Silton said he had a present for me. It was a pair of Atlas gloves. They made me think of the old blind man with the cat, and his stolen Atlas gloves. I wonder if Mr. Silton knew how lucky he was to still have them with a glove thief around. Mr. Silton asked me to try the gloves on and start chucking things around. But not him. He was very clear about that. Mr. Silton suggested we clean the hall. Of course I knew when he said we, he meant me. But I was happy to try out my new gloves. He said I should clear everything off the basketball court and put the things on the floor either side. I fiddled with the settings for a bit, but when Mr. Silton saw I was having trouble, he produced a small manual. He explained that pressing down and Y would pick the thing up. Y would then throw the thing, and if I wanted to place it on the floor, I should again press down and Y. He looked more and more confused as he read all this, but eventually he finished by saying, "Well, I hope that made more sense to you than it did to me." Mr. Silton sounded slightly annoyed when he said, "Come on, take all the stuff off the basketball court and chuck it either side." "Let's see what else these gloves can do," said Mr. Silton as he flicked through the manual. He actually looked quite excited when he explained that holding Y while walking into or under a falling thing would allow me to catch it. I must admit, I was then really happy when he suggested we make it a game, and I try to catch 10 basketballs. Next, Mr. Silton suggested we make it a real game and see how quickly I could score 10 baskets. I enjoyed this so much. It felt just like the good old days. Except Mr. Silton wasn't as forgiving as the old man. When I'd scored 10 baskets, Mr. Silton gave me what he called a high five. He said I now knew everything about the gloves and I should be able to continue through the basement of the church into the house. When I asked him if he was coming with me, he just laughed and said they would catch up with me in the main hall. I was stood in a gigantic cavern. When I looked down, I was horrified to see hundreds of corpses of those things. As horrible as it sounds, my steptoe said they were things to clean. So clean them I would. That must be the door Mr. Silton talked about. The door was exactly as Mr. Silton had described it. I just hoped that the card he had given me was the security key and not just some backstage pass. Well, it opened the door, but soon an alarm went off. Something caught my eye. It was a small yellow sphere. The book next to it explained that it was a shield that would automatically take a hit for me when activated. The X button turned out of storage, meaning I could save it for when the going got tough. It seemed that I started with 2 slots to carry shields, but I could upgrade to be able to carry more. If both I and the shield died in the same room, the Lazarus chip would bring us both back. It's almost as if the shield needed its sacrifice to mean something. It felt like a true friend, proving that even the simplest of faces can bring out an emotional reaction. Something literally caught my eye. I remembered the old man had installed some software that helped show me things that were interactive, and how to interact with them. This must be what we were
King.
talking about.
Ja, waarom ik het niet doe, geen idee. Ik denk er eigenlijk niet zo aan. Oh. Maar nog de beste wensen trouwens. Volgens mij heb ik je nog niet gesproken. Ja, ik weet het, maar goed.
The electron gun blew the power. I needed to turn it back on before I could fire again.
Ik hoop het voor jou ook. Ik hoop dat 2026 leuke dingen gaat brengen. Ik ga wel proberen meer te streamen in ieder geval. Net alles al een keer lopen bespreken. Oh. Het is baastijd. We hebben een beetje een goede jaarwisseling gehad.
This seemed quite valuable.
Oliebollen gebakken.
Wow, this was clearly worth something. The video recorder's blinking light caught my eye. It must have been years since I had seen a film or TV show. Maybe I could take a little break from my quest and watch the film on the tape.
Deep fried donut balls.
As the video started,
Hey, dit
I
is
was
zo officieel.
surprised to see the old man. Hello, hello. He bellowed in his
Ik had die
familiar
discussie
tone.
ook eens met
This is
iemand
test
gehad. En
number
dat was, toen zeiden we, het zullen wel
1070C.
oil balls
He
zijn, maar
continued as he read
klinkt
from
zo
a
walgelijk.
clipboard. This unit still has 3 major issues. 1. The shell is so incredibly thick that the whole machine is still far too large, heavy. 2. The
Ja, laatst
missile
jaar,
system is too
de
unpredictable
laatste jaar
and
vuurwerk
aggressive.
was het in
And
Nederland.
3. The trade-off
Ook een klein
between power
pakketje
and
gekocht op het
intelligence
internet,
is
maar ook
far
niks
too great.
bijzonders.
I think the military capabilities would be far too dangerous in the wrong hands. I think we would be best to push forward with the Innocence Project. I didn't really understand a word of what he said, and I was slightly
dat weet ik ook wel, dat
disappointed that
cotton
he had
candy is.
recorded over the film.
Zover
It
was
was
ik nog
nice
wel,
to
in
see the
ieder
old
geval.
man's face again. I wasn't sure what was going on, but suddenly, inanimate objects started to come to life.
Een goede jaarwisseling gehad. Vuurwerk, oliebollen. Dat is niet zo goed, Mikke. Oh, nou ja, succes ermee. Bedankt voor de lurk. We zijn zelf nogal intensief het spel aan het spelen, dus sorry dat ik het een beetje miste, chat. Maar fijn dat je fijn dat je even langskwam in ieder geval. Vet.
I should try picking that up. trees come in all shapes and sizes. Seeing another VCR made me wonder if there were any more recordings of the old man. I rummaged behind the TV and was not surprised to find two more dusty old tapes. One just had hours of some strange sport. But the other had a recording of the old man. Hello, hello, came his voice again. Right, this is urgent. Cancel the nanobot program immediately. All production to be stopped. Contain the remaining units in these corrosion-proof canisters. Although I'm sure it's obvious, the old man continued. We have discovered that they are essentially unstoppable and can form a controlling intelligence around any object. Need I say more? Well, at least that explained why everything moved with minds of their own. I'd never been in this part of the house before, but I figured I would get back to more familiar surroundings once I made it through these laboratories. to get back on the moving lift. The door was nailed shut, and my fingers were too large to get a decent grip on the planks. I needed something like a crowbar. The door was nailed shut, and my fingers were too large to get a decent grip on the planks. I needed something like a crowbar. My shoes struggled to grip the slippery wall. I'd need to keep jumping to climb it. Knock, knock, chuckled Mr. Silton. It's all right, we'll claim it on the insurance as accidental damage. Get me a new TV as well. I explained to them that I had found some of the old man's home videos, and the contents had shocked me. The dirty old bugger, interrupted Mr. Silton. But I didn't know what he meant, so I continued explaining about the nanobots. And Mr. Silton said we needed to get our sharpest minds on the case. Not you dipshit, he barked at Mr. Preston. We need to rescue Heather and her mum. I wasn't sure what Mr. Silton meant by rescue, but I thought I would leave them to clear up. The weather felt cold and ominous as we made our way back outside. Before we meet the others, I need you to help me get my stolen van back, explained Mr. Silton. It's going to be dangerous, and we need someone dependable. The equipment was heavy, but I was happy to help pack the large boxes until Preston returned with what Mr. Silton called the mean machine. Mr. Preston seemed even more anxious than usual. At first I thought he just needed to use a toilet, but Mr. Silton explained that their old gang members lived around here. Somehow the money went missing when we robbed that post office, he continued. For some reason they thought we'd taken it, but, as he put it, why would we live in such a dump if we had a load of money? Although this clarified things for me, it certainly didn't calm Mr. Preston, who suggested we gotta move on. Don't worry, we'll be a matter of minutes. We just need to send Mr. Chips up there to have a look, said Mr. Silton as he pointed to a window high up the building. Go on, he said with a smile. Off you go then. The man didn't look like a thief, but maybe his striped jumper was in. Mr. Silton was certain he'd stolen the van though, so I watched for a moment. But then I heard Mr. Silton climbing up. I was going to speak, but Mr. Silton held a finger up to his lips. He looked incredibly serious for a moment. One swift movement, and we were inside. Mr. Silton whispered that I was to go one way, while he went another. Why are you whispering? Asked him. Where are we going? Find the keys to my van, Robo, said Mr. Silton through gritted teeth. The piles of junk were all wired into the mains. I suppose it was a good deterrent against thieves. Alice would have felt at home here, with all the huge piles of junk everywhere. I didn't know which key I should take, so I took all of them. I finally managed to collect all of the keys. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I knew I needed to go back and find Mr. Silton. The old man was pointing an even older gun right at Mr. Silton's face. But the man looked terrified when he saw me. I can still picture his hand shaking as he reloaded his ancient firearm. "This wasn't the plan," shouted Mr. Silton. "It's him or me. Let him have it." I didn't know what I was going to do when I caught the old man. But I knew I had to stop him. If someone dared hurt my friends, they would have to pay. I kept turning the events over in my mind. Could I have handled things differently? Could I save Mr. Silton without hurting that man? Mr. Preston could see I was upset, and said music was a good alternative to facing up to problems. Come with me, he insisted. I'm going to teach you how to play drums. First, he said, just play the bass drum along with me. We'll see how good your timing is. Play the beat. Mr. Preston asked, were you happy with that, or would you give each drum a few hits to get a feel for them, continued Mr. Preston. Watch me play the notes as they hit the dock, like this. I. Mr. Preston asked. Mr. Silton was patched up, but still pretty angry. He referred to the man as a word that wasn't in my dictionary file. It should have been between cunning and cup. I reminded Mr. Silton about going to find the others now we had the van. But he said there was something even more important we had to do first. Mr. Silton explained that it was a good idea that Mr. Logan be released from prison early, and that this wouldn't involve a parole board, but might involve dynamite. Straight away I was apprehensive. I thought only bad people went to prison. I knew Mr. Logan was the guitarist in Mr. Silton's band, but why would we help a bad person? In the end, I think it was only Mrs. Silton's smile that convinced me to help. Mrs. Silton promised to have a present for us when we got back. She said she'd been saving her money from her decorating job. I didn't know what I would need money for, but then realized, if nothing else, new games consoles might be out. Be careful, said Mrs. Silton with a big smile. Don't rob any post offices, and don't get shot. In the dead of night, it was surprisingly easy to get close to the prison building. Mr. Silton said it was like the Death Star and had a weakness we could, although I seem to remember the robot getting shot when they did that in the film. But there was no time to worry as Mr. Silton pressed a walkie-talkie into my hand and said, "Good luck." it was obvious the security lights would set off an alarm. I needed to find somewhere to hide, or the guards would kill me. According to Mr. Silton, this was the switch that would open the laser door to Mr. Logan's cell block. Mr. Silton seemed to think this would open the cell block door. Luckily, he was right. Unsurprisingly, Mr. Logan's cell was locked, but, thanks to my speedy brain, I was able to hack it in seconds. Mr. Logan was not pleased to see me. No one ever was. But I couldn't work out why. However, when I mentioned Mr. Silton, he soon cheered up. We quickly made our way outside. Although about Mr. Logan's stealth techniques, they were quite different from mine. But someone must have noticed Mr. Logan was missing, as, with a bright flash, we were soon attacked. This still wasn't the plan, said Mr. Silton as he insisted he was okay, and that, no, I didn't need to clean up the trail of blood. He did however urge me to take care of the huge tank bearing down on us. We all piled into the van. Mr. Logan and Mr. Preston took out large guns as Mr. Silton gave me some driving software. It basically explained that one foot pump made the van go, and the other one signaled Mr. Logan and Preston to fire their guns. bullets fired led to non-fatal wounds, but statistically that was incredibly unlikely. Strangely, I felt too excited and relieved to care. Mr. Silton winced as he clutched his bleeding shoulder and explained how you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. I think broken eggs meant dead people. Sometimes, he said, you have to do whatever it takes to survive, even if that means killing.
But not innocent people,
said Mr. Logan as he stared straight ahead. Eventually, I asked Mr. Logan what he had done to end up in prison, but he just continued staring out of the window. Mr. Preston smiled as he said, I suppose someone should explain. He told me when the war started, he and Mr. Silton had avoided conscription, but Mr. Logan was called up. His unit's first orders were to sweep through a huge urban area, killing anything that moved. The only trouble was, hundreds of refugees had recently taken shelter there. The generals knew that those people were there, said Mr. Preston, but they couldn't have cared less.
This isn't the time for another one of your conspiracy theories,
interrupted Mr. Silton. Although this obviously annoyed Mr. Preston, he continued explaining how Mr. Logan and another man deserted, and, after a poor attempt to hide in a wooden vaulting horse, the pair of them were caught at gunpoint on a train, whilst trying to speak rudimentary German. Mr. Logan guided us down a small side street as Mr. Preston complained that he needed the toilet. Mr. Silton asked why we were taking the scenic route while he was trying not to bleed to death. But Mr. Logan gave Mr. Silton a quick glance. You're fine, he said with the faintest of smiles. Soon the night sky was full of twinkling stars, and I was able to impress everyone with my navigation skills. The software was state-of-the-art, but I remember Heather telling me how the ancients had used the stars in much the same way. It always made me smile, thinking about the names she gave the constellations. It was the middle of the night by the time we got back, but Mrs. Silton was still up waiting for us. Really? Again, in the same place, was all she said as she shook her head and tended to Mr. Silton's second. Mr. Preston nearly knocked us over as he sprinted towards the bathroom. It appeared that his body had kept on making urine, even though it didn't have anywhere left to store it. I asked Mr. Silton about Heather and the old lady, but he said he was just about to wash his hair. When I asked him again later, he said the main thing was that we'd got Logan and the van back, and couldn't the rest wait until I had cleaned up the band room for him. I didn't know what to say. Everything we had done, everything I had helped him with, I thought it was all to get everyone back together. But now I didn't know what to think. Before I could say anything, Mrs. Silton explained that it was okay if I only travelled on trains and was alone. I must have looked worried as Mrs. Silton smiled and continued, if you really want these idiots to go with you, they can disguise themselves and catch the next train after you. Mr. Silton was dismissive, and said I'd get nowhere without ID. They'll be stopping robots for even the tiniest of things, he said. And a robot passport costs a fortune these days. Well, said Mrs. Silton, it's a good job I've got this. Mr. Silton looked confused and asked where Mrs. Silton got the money. Sometimes, said Mrs. Silton, when God slams a door in your face and shoots you twice in the shoulder, he opens a window. Mrs. Silton explained how Preston had given her the extra money. He said there was good money to be made selling pills and powder to people that distracted them from the world being an absolute mess. Bedtime, said Mr. Logan as he carried his guitar into his room. Everyone else left one by one, leaving me stroking the dog. I awoke to the sound of Mrs. Silton making herself some breakfast. It felt very early, but I suppose it was just that we had gotten so late. Mrs. Silton gulped down her coffee, and with a reassuring smile she said, "Let's do this." The pedestrian tunnel was far longer than I expected, but it was nice. It gave me a chance to chat with Mrs. Silton. She told me she was from an upper-class family, and that her parents had nearly disowned her when she married Mr. Silton. But she said she really was happy being with her husband. And after all, as she put it, he did provide for her in this messed-up world. However, I couldn't help but laugh when she said how much she liked Mr. Silton's band. I steered the conversation onto the topic of the war. She explained she had been a nurse near some major combat, but she looked really sad, so I changed the subject. I asked her if the town was nice. Mrs. Silton smiled, and described it as a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Train tickets cost 1,000, so Mrs. Silton said I should trade in some of the things I'd cleaned so I could afford to travel. However, when we tried the door, it was apparent that the junkyard owner wouldn't be back for a while. So Mrs. Silton suggested I try to earn some money by other means. She said there were plenty of jobs in the town that a robot could do. The post lady explained the job to me. I would be sorting parcels. Many people were now separated by desolate battlefields and needed these care packages to survive. The parcels were either red or blue. I just had to stamp the right ones, with the right color, at the right time. Suddenly, as if by magic, the shopkeeper appeared. "Hello, sir," he said. "If there's something that catches your eye, just pick it up and bring it over to me." "I'm sorry, sir," said the shop. The fitting room was actually a robot upgrade facility. Once completed, the money was digitally taken from my passport account. The rickety old door led into some kind of drinking establishment. But the bartender soon made it clear that, as he put it, they didn't serve my kind here, and that I would have to wait outside. The largest of the old ladies explained the job to me. I would be drying plates. She explained that old people couldn't afford to retire anymore, so she and her friends had to take menial jobs. All of the old ladies would be throwing plates at me as quickly as they could. I just had to catch and dry them.
Dus ik ga afsluiten. Bedankt voor het kijken in ieder geval. En we gaan de volgende keer gewoon weer verder met Horace. Gaan we wel geld verdienen. In ieder geval een enorme fijne avond. En maak er weer wat moois van.